how's it going? Captain Krygier here with OST Miami, also supporting the blog, and today we're doing the Blister class. So a lot of candidates have requested me to redo the Blister class. I know the last time we did this, I guess there was an issue with the audio not playing, so that's a pretty big deal, right, for a class. So you guys couldn't hear what I was saying. You could see me doing everything, but you just couldn't hear me. So redoing it for you. So why don't you guys go ahead and while we let people log in, tell me what OSTs you're a part of, or if you're not working with a selection officer, you can just say like what your college is, or if you're anybody else, just go ahead and introduce yourself. So we'll get a couple more minutes and I'll show you what all of this is about. It's a lot of socks. And just so you guys know, my brother Garrett, he's the one videotaping today. So he was a rescue swimmer in the Navy for 10 years, and now he's going to school. So he's just here helping me out today. So if you hear his voice, that's who's talking. Has anyone said what OST they're with?
Albany.
Albany, all right.
Los Angeles.
California's always in the house. I'm pretty sure there's going to be someone from Arizona, Texas, hopefully someone from Florida. No one else.
Berkeley, NROTC.
Cool.
Someone who just graduated from OCS.
Alright, gonna learn something for TBS.
Got a Nashville, Bloomington.
Nashville shows up all the time too.
Pendleton.
Yep. Awesome, awesome. Just a few more minutes. Some of the other things we'll talk about today are some like packing supplies that you guys might want to consider purchasing. And then I'll go over boots a little bit because that applies directly to blisters. I will say though that everything that I talk about product-wise, of course the Marine Corps is not endorsing any of it. I can't officially do that for the Marine Corps. So I'm just going to tell you what works for me, what's worked for other candidates. Maybe it'll work for you. So you just kind of got to play around with it. That's probably one of the most important things that you guys need to take away from today's class, is that it's really dependent on you, and your body. Your feet is going to be different than my body and my feet. My stride's different than your stride. I know I'm a heel striker, so it is what it is. So just take it all with a grain of salt. So I'll go ahead and get started. The first thing is to kind of talk about like what causes a blister. So a blister is caused when there's friction on your skin against something else. And usually it's moist, so it's rubbing. Your skin is obviously a bunch of layers, and when those layers start to separate, your body's going to fill it with fluid, and then it's going to form into like a little sac or like a blister, and then there's going to be a bunch of fluid in there, and it's trying to protect your inside part of your body, layman's terms. So that blister is going to become really uncomfortable because it's putting pressure on all those nerves and raw skin. So that's really where the pain comes from. It comes from the skin being raised up and then constant pressure on it, and it can't release the pressure. So in order to make it feel better, we build up moleskin around that sac of fluid until it can go away, until it pops naturally on its own. I also don't recommend you to pop those blisters unless it's done by a corpsman or by someone at officer candidate school staff that's trained to do so. So there's tons of tricks you can do out there to, you know, pop the blister, talk about like how to sanitize your skin, sanitize like a needle or a safety pin, and then, you know, release the fluid from it so that way it feels better. That definitely is going to make it feel better, but you're opening yourself up for infections. You're going to be going through the Quigley, a lot of other, you know, dirty water, dirty ground. Your socks are going to be full of bacteria from, you know, sweat and everything. So when you pop a blister yourself or another candidate does it for you, you're just opening yourself up to get cellulitis or something else that requires antibiotics, or it's going to tear the skin. And then when the skin is gone, then you lose all your protective layers, and then now you're just walking around on raw skin. So don't pop your blisters unless a corpsman does it for you. Just tough it out. And I'm going to show you ways to tough it out until you can get to the corpsman, and then how to dress your blisters every morning while you're at officer candidate school. So full disclosure, I am blister prone. Like that picture that was on Instagram, that is my foot right now. I'm going to show it to you guys. I have like multiple blisters on my feet, and it's from breaking in a new set of boots. And hopefully you guys have all been breaking in your boots before going to officer candidate school. If you just purchased a pair of boots and you're going in September, you're in for a treat. But regardless, new boots, not having the proper socks, having wet feet, improper boot fit, all those things can cause blisters. And then also just simply walking for long distances, no matter how broken in your boots are. If you're walking on asphalt for 15 miles, i.e. TBS, you're probably going to walk away with blisters. Pun intended. Alright, so to get started, I will just cover the supplies that I've got, and then we'll talk about how to actually prep for blisters. So the first thing is moleskin. Everybody's heard of moleskin. It is a fuzzy type tape, so it's sticky on the back side. This is a ginormous roll of moleskin that you can get at on Amazon. You can buy sheets of moleskin like at CVS or Walgreens, Walmart, and then there are even like smaller tiny little sheets that you guys can buy. I recommend just go ahead and purchase a whole sheet, or you could be like that candidate that's, willing to share your sweet roll of moleskin with everybody else. So this is from OCS, like a long time ago, 2012, and I still got it, so it's going to last you a long time. It's a little bit of an investment, but it's worth it. The next thing you're going to want to invest in, of course I can't endorse this, but this type is called HippAffix. And it is it's a wound dressing cover. So you can see that it's like a sticky, very stretchy cloth-like material, very breathable. And this is what's going to go over your moleskin once you cut your donut. And this is going to help you also just prevent blisters in the first place. The next thing you're going to want to invest in is a pair of collapsible folding scissors. You can get these. This is at Walmart. It's like $2, $2.99 or something like that. Because these are considered child safe, and OCS isn't going to take them from you. They're not contrabands. And then this is also very light. It's good for hiking, so it's not going to add any extra weight to you. And you can bring it with you when you go to OCS and TBS. You're not going to want to bring a big pair of scissors like this. This is considered contraband at officer candidate school. So while it's very nice to have a large set of scissors to cut through all this stuff really fast, it's contraband. You're also going to want to have nail clippers. I recommend getting a small travel size bottle of foot powder. You're going to buy foot powder, body powder at officer candidate school during the big bag, small bag issue, but they're not going to have that travel size. So I keep a travel size of almost everything when I go to the field or when I go hiking, so that way I'm not carrying a lot of weight. Travel size, small thing of hand sanitizer, and then there are multiple brands of disinfecting wipes. You can get any one of them, but like look for the ones that obviously say like kills bacteria, kills germs, whatever. This one smells like citrus. That's great. So a couple of these will be great. You're gonna need those for disinfectant. You can always get some Band-Aids to just be quick. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can get some Body Glide, just a small travel size Body Glide if you want to. And then I'll talk about the rest of that. But this is to get you started with blister specific stuff. So then I'll get into the rest of this gear in a little bit. So the first thing that I've done is I have pre-cut some of my moleskin into a size that is good for my heels. So I don't know if you need to move. But that's my blister that I'm going to treat, and then I've got one on the bottom of my foot, which I'll show you guys how to do that. So you guys can see that. What I've done is just kind of measured it with my eyes, like, okay, that's great, that's a good size. And then the next thing I did is I just folded it over and cut myself a little donut hole. You can kind of like measure it and then cut it. I also recommend pre-cutting a bunch of these so that way when you go to the field, you've got them already ready. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut the edges so that way it's rounded. And the reason why you want to round your edges is because it's going to help prevent that from peeling away. So if you don't have HIPAA or you decide not to purchase it before you go to officer candidate school, or you need something quick, down and dirty, you're going to round your edges and it won't peel away as much. If you've got time, just take some hand sanitizer, put it right there, rub it on there and let it dry, and then you're going to want to stick it right over the top of the blister. The reason why you're going to put hand sanitizer or something, clean it off, is because one, it's going to help it stick better, and two, you want to clean it off before you cover it up. So that way there's nothing inside of it that's like festering. So I'm putting it over, and notice how I'm keeping my heel tight, so that way when I put this on, it's going to stay tight with the rest of my skin, and then it moves with it at the farthest extension point. And then I'm folding it over. If there are any little folds, you can push it out with your thumbs. Really focus on pushing down the edges so that way you don't peel. And then you also want to make sure when you're putting it down on the bottom part of your heel that you don't have any folds or edges or something that could cause it to rub even more. And now I've got a blister here because the edge was folded over. So you're just going to push it down. Great, cool, that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my HIPAA. Again, I pre-measure a lot of mine because I'm going to have blister kits, which I'll show you how to make in a sec. And again, I'm going to round the edge. You can pre-round your edges so that way you don't have to cut them while you're at officer candidate school in the middle of the hike. But all my edges are cut. And then I'm just going to go across it and try and cover it all the way. So I could do it this way if I wanted to. I could do it this way if I wanted to. But if I do it this way, that's probably going to peel away like that. And then it might peel away like that. So I'm going to go top to bottom. I'm starting above it again. And then got my edges down. I'm just going to take it, stretch it, and cover it. And now you can see how different that is. See, I'm moving my finger across it and it's not picking up the edges. That's the benefit of using this HIPAA, is because it's going to stay pretty close to your skin at all times. So that's the basis of how you want to take care of a blister and cover it up. Now you've got some other sensitive areas, like the balls of your foot right here. So you can see like I had a blister there. Same thing applies. You're just going to cut it a little bit smaller, and then you might have to double up your areas. So, for instance, say I had a blister right here on my pinky toe. I could cut this. Alright, so that's good. I'm going to make a smaller donut. And it doesn't really matter how much sticky I have on these moleskin pieces, because I'm just going to stick HIPAA over it anyways. So I just need something at this point to build up that padding around it. Again, because that blister, what hurts is the pressure. I'm not going to pop it because that's dumb. until I can get back to the squad bay and the corpsman can do it for me. That's a pretty good size hole, so maybe I only need 2. You could always do 3 if you need to. And then for things like the pinky toe or any kind of toe, you're just going to separate that toe and take a long strip of HipaFix. And then you're just going to place it over it like you would a Band-Aid. I'd probably want to double this up so that way I could cover both sides. So I'd want to have a second one over here. I'm just going to lift my pinky toe up, stick it on the inside like I would a Band-Aid. Then I'd get a second long strip and I'd cover this side too. And then that pressure should really prevent, this buildup should really prevent the pressure from the side of my foot hitting it. And then at night when I get home to the squad bay, or whenever I get a chance to shower, I'm going to take all this off, clean it really good with soap and water, and then watch it and make sure it doesn't get infected. And in the morning, you go see the corpsman, or whenever they do feet check, you'd say, I've got a blister, show it to them, they'll look at it and tell you if you need antibiotics or not, if you're looking pretty good. Another common area where you're going to get blisters a lot, especially being new to hiking and not really knowing a whole lot, is the tops of your toes. You might get a blister on the inside of your toe and then it raises up the toenail bed. It might turn blue or black. The main cause for that is boots are too tight, so you need to get a bigger size. Maybe it's a good size boot, but your socks are too thick, or your nails are too long and they're hitting the toe bed of your boots. So problem solving, troubleshooting areas there that you're going to want to do. Check your sock thickness, make sure it's not too thick, or have a different size boot. So like if it's really cold out and you're wearing really thick socks because you need to, maybe you need to have a different size boot for the winter. Every time I go out in the fields, the day before I'm stepping, I'm clipping my toenails. And I'm going to bring this with me if I'm going to be out in the field for a long time. So that way I can always keep my toenails trimmed down. And I'm not saying like you need to make them bleed or anything, but they definitely should be really short. You shouldn't have a lot of white visible. If you do, you're probably going to walk away with some blue or black toenails. If you do get a blue or black toenail and it's really, really sensitive to the touch when you touch it up top, there's not a whole lot you can do when it comes to stopping the pain. Right now you can do like what I did for this pinky toe and build it up around it so that way the boot isn't hitting it. But really you're going to want to see the corpsman and have the corpsman pop it or relieve the pressure or do whatever they need to do to help you out with that. But that's definitely something you're going to want to see the corpsman about, and they'll take care of it. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking in your heads like, whoa, corpsman, everyone's told me not to go see medical at Officer Candidate School. That's a death sentence. That's totally not true, especially for simple things like blisters. The corpsman will be able to take care of you on the spot that morning, and it should be really quick, simple procedure, and you're not even going to miss morning PT. So don't be afraid to go see the corpsman in the morning because they'll take care of you right there and just get done with it. If it looks infected though, they're going to take you to medical, you're going to get antibiotics, and then you're going to be back in the fight. Nothing scary is going to happen to you if you go see the doctor. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with blisters. Do I have any questions?
Yeah, where are they going to be able to find this video after the live portion?
Well, it'll stay on the OCS blog site or Instagram page for 24 hours, and then we'll download it and post it to YouTube. So it'll be on the YouTube channel.
And then other than that, we're going to go over socks and other options when we get to that. So
lots of socks. We'll talk all about socks. So it's, anyways, pretty self-explanatory when it comes to blister care. If it's on the bottom of your foot, like I was showing you this one, that's all right.
There, we're back.
Okay, so if it's on the bottom of your foot here, or here, or here, anywhere on the bottom of your foot, you're just going to want to use an excessive amount of HipaFix and wrap that pretty much all the way around your foot. So build up your base pretty solid, you'll probably want to have a couple extra layers. So 1 isn't going to cut it, just straight up. 2 probably isn't going to cut it. You're going to probably want to start with a minimum of 3 layers, and then work your way up from there. And then just use the whole thing of HipaFix. You're just going to wrap that around like that, essentially. So it's not going to peel away on you in the middle of the day. And that's really all that HipaFix does, is it keeps it from peeling away.
What supplies will we be able to? What supplies will they be able to find while they're at OCS, and what do they need to bring before they ever leave?
At OCS, they should allow you to purchase small strips of moleskin. It'll be about this size that you're purchasing at Officer Candidate School. You won't find a big roll like this at OCS, and you won't find HipaFix at OCS. This is on Amazon. Big rolls like this is on Amazon. Another product that you guys can consider is something called it's made by Dr. Scholl's, and it's called mole foam. That's the thickness of mole foam. So you can see it's very, very thick. So I know I can already start out like things like on my toes or on the bottom of my foot. I may not need to double up mole foam. Again, that's by Dr. Scholl's. So mole foam if you want to, and then this is about the thickness of regular mole skin. So pretty big difference if you can see it. Maybe not. Maybe not. That's fine. You get the idea. Look it up, mole foam. Okay, so how do you even prevent this in the first place? Like, you don't even want to get to this point. Here's the secret. You're going to take some HipaFix, not moleskin, because it's just going to roll off the bottom of your foot. And you're just going to do what I did before. Make sure your feet are clean every morning at OCS. After you shower and you're ready for the day, just stick it up top. Maybe put it a little bit lower so that way it's not showing in your white ankle socks for morning PT. Or maybe you do it after morning PT after you shower. That's smarter. Alright, cool. This is like my instant second layer skin. It's not rubbing away. Well, it just did there. I put a lot of pressure on that one. But it's really, really solid. And then this is like an instant friction preventer. I could rub all day long on the back of my heels and I'm not going to get anything blistering from it. So if you've got a brand new pair of boots, guess what you're buying at OCS? 2 brand new pairs of boots. And you need to break those in. This would be a really great way to save yourself from having any issues while you're breaking in those new pair of boots, because you're going to hopefully go to OCS with a pair already broken in, but that's not going to save you from those other 2. So take that into consideration. Alright, last thing before we talk about products, how to build a blister kit. So building a blister kit is really important while you're at Officer Candidate School, because you're going to be out in the field numerous times. You may not need it, but a fellow candidate might need it. So I recommend everyone know how to build a blister kit and just keep it in the top part of your bag that you're going to be hiking with, and it's always accessible. So I'm going to make a bunch of pre-cut moleskin pieces. So I've got various sizes. And if you really wanted to save yourself some time, just make some pre-cut holes, donut holes in it, so that way you don't have to worry about it. But I've got various sizes. You could even round the edges ahead of time, stick that in there, sticking my scissors in there. I'm sticking a couple different sizes of HipaFix, 2 of each, 1 for each foot, right? Cool, I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna put my toenail clippers in there. I'm going to put hand sanitizer in there. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to put a Band-Aid or 2 in there just in case I need to be really fast. I'm going to take a couple of these hand wipes in there just in case I want to do that instead of the hand sanitizer. And then I will also take my sweet little things that I've already cut out from other blister things, because this is a perfect size for those toes. Or for your toenails. So a couple of small sizes. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I personally don't use Body Glide. Maybe you do, so you could put that in there. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put foot powder in your socks already. So turn your sock inside out. Take this. And then I'm just going to put a whole bunch of foot powder into that sock. And I'm going to turn it inside out. I'll do the same thing obviously with the other foot. Push it down. And then there's my blister kit. So I've got a pair of socks that's already got foot powder inside of it. I don't need to bring this if I don't want to. Save myself some weight. I've got my moleskin, my HIPAA-Fix, scissors, and stuff to sanitize. And then you just zip it closed, throw it in the top of your bag, and you're all set just in case you get a blister or one of your fellow candidates gets a blister. So really important to bring that with you. Even if you don't think you're going to get one, you never know. You might be, it might be pouring down rain and you're stuck doing fire watch in the middle of the night. You have to stand up. Your boots get soaked. The socks you're wearing get soaked. And then something happens. You don't have time to change your socks or change your boots. You probably aren't going to bring 2 pairs of boots to the field, and the next thing you know, you're 2 miles into the 6-mile hike and you've got a crazy blister. Well, this is going to save yourself or somebody else that went through that. So, some things that, other things for the field. Do I have any questions on that? No? Okay. Self-explanatory. Right. So, other things for the field that you're going to want to bring really quick before we talk about socks. SPF sunblock for chapstick. Make some bug spray wipes. So you could bring these instead of bringing a whole bottle of bug spray. A small thing of sunscreen for your face. This is a sport version, so it's going to be water resistant. Travel size version of your toothbrush and toothpaste. They're going to let you buy some bacitracin, which is the same thing as Neosporin or antibiotic cream. So you'll get that, but this is just a small version. You can get it at CVS or something. CVS made an advanced healing hand cream for hands. So like when especially the guys going in September and in January, your hands are going to get destroyed. You're going to get really chapped skin from holding the rifles all the time, being out in the cold, wet, cold, hot, just going to wreak havoc on your hands. So this will help prevent your hands from cracking and bleeding. So just a small thing of that. You can also put this on your heels and use it for instead of Body Glide. And then let me talk about that. They will have giant tubs of BioFreeze, if you're a fan of BioFreeze, in the squad bay. There's smaller versions of BioFreeze, and then there are little packets of BioFreeze. So this is great for the field before you step, and this is not considered contraband, especially if it's not opened, so you can bring small little things of BioFreeze. The last product that I want to talk about, well, I'll also mention this. If anybody's familiar with AT tape or rock tape, you know it works great, it works wonders. Don't bring this to OCS. You don't need it. You're not an athletic trainer. You're not supposed to have it on you. So just don't bring it. There is an athletic trainer at Officer Candidate School that will tape you. So if you need to get taped or you feel like you rolled your ankle or strained your knee or something like that, maybe you mess up your shoulder, you'll go see the athletic trainer. They'll put a bunch of KT tape on you, and you'll be all set. And then the sergeant instructors know that you saw the athletic trainer. They know why you have KT tape on your legs, and it's fine. So just remember that. And then the last thing, product-wise, before we talk about socks and boots, is this type of athletic tape. Take notes, screenshot it, write it down. This is the best possible tape that you could ever purchase, and it'll save you hours and hours of sleep while you're at Officer Candidate School. The reason why, you probably can't see it on this video, but it's got like almost like a waxy film. It might be shiny to you guys, maybe not, probably not. But it's going to stay whiter longer, and so whenever your gear, so if you don't know, you write in permanent marker your name and your company and platoon number on athletic tape, and you put it over every single piece of gear that you have. Well, as soon as your gear gets somewhat dirty and you can see like brown, or it looks like it's fading or it's rolling, you got to retape all of your gear. So this is more sticky, and the little waxy film that it's got on it kind of prevents the dirt from sticking to it for a really long time. And so candidates that have told me they use this tape, they said they got an average, of an extra hour or two a week, or every couple of days, compared to their fellow candidates that weren't using this tape. So sleep is gold at OCS. If you can afford this tape on Amazon, I highly recommend you buy it. Not a requirement, but it's like 26 bucks or something like that, which is a lot. You're like, oh, that's a lot of tape. But it's worth it. Promise you it's worth it. And you'll hear every other candidate, especially those that are TBS right now, they'll tell you this tape is awesome. Okay, any questions on what I just went over? No?
Pretty good.
Move this out of the way. Alright. So let's talk about socks. Socks and me go back, way back, because I feel like that's why I have blister problems, is because they're not the right socks. So I'll tell you guys my favorite brand of socks, and again, these are just my favorite brands of socks. They're not, you don't have to buy them. Smart Wool is my favorite brand of socks. The reason why Smart Wool is my favorite brand of socks is because it is made primarily of wool, so it's got a little bit of synthetic blends to it, but it's the softest version of wool that I've found out of all these socks. It has arch support, it has ventilations up top, it's got sweet padding on the balls and on the heels of my feet, and then it doesn't go up super high when I'm wearing them, just comes to about mid shin, and the toes are padded as well. Yes, they do make it in brown. I know that this is not a brown sock. This color is not authorized for OCS, especially with the purple up top. But anyways, don't pay attention to that. They're roughly, so this is Smart Wool PhD hiking socks. They make them for males and females, and they're roughly $15 to $18, depending on what type you get or where you get it from. They're on Amazon, REI, Dick's, a couple of other like sporting stores, and of course Smart Wool has their own website too. So that's my favorite version. Again, my feet get really hot, they sweat, I think maybe more than other people's, maybe that's why I have blister problems, don't know. But anyways, the wool wicks away the sweat from your feet and helps keep them dry. So that if you're taking anything away from what I'm about to go over, it's buy wool socks. Another brand of socks that I really like is Danner has their own brand of socks. They're very, very thin, so these are great summer socks. Or if you have a lot of moleskin padding around your feet and it's not going to fit into your boots, you probably want to have a thinner sock. So again, this has arch support, which I don't really know if it does or not, but it looks like it does. And it's got the ventilation up top again. There's very, very minimal padding on the heels, like almost none. But I've had these socks for 5 years now, and they have yet to rip in the heels, so that's pretty decent. The one thing that's kind of a downside is they go up pretty high on my shin. So if it's in the middle of the summer and I'm sweating a lot and I'm in the middle of the desert, I may not want to have super high socks. But if it's fall time frame, we're talking great for September weather, this could be a good brand. So these are Danner's Dry Max. Another brand of socks that I really like are called Right socks. That's the brand. The reason why I like them is because they are double layered socks. So you might hear some candidates or Marines say it's good to double up your socks because, again, it's friction based, right? That's why you get blisters in the first place. So if you've got something else preventing you from rubbing against your skin, then that should, in theory, prevent you from getting blisters. Well, Right Socks takes that away, so you can't really see it, but it's got a liner on the inside, which is this white piece, and then it's got another piece on the outside, so it is essentially a double-lined sock just built into one. It has arch support, ventilation up top, minimal padding on the heels, but these have lasted me 2 years, and I have yet to get a rip in them. So they're pretty decent, but they're also pretty short too. They're probably the shortest out of all of them, but they don't, I mean, it doesn't affect my boots. Like, it's not like they're that short. So, good summer sock for you. Another brand that's very, very popular is Fox River socks. These are a medium weight sock. They have less ventilation up top, so almost none. Really, it's ever down here by the toe box. It has arch support. It's pretty thick all around. So it's thick on the heels, it's thick on the toe bed, it's thick right here by your toes, it's thick on top of your toe bed. So if you've got baits and that bait bite, right? Everybody knows the bait bite that's happening on top of your feet. That should help with it. And then it also goes pretty high on the calf. So this could be good for those guys that are going in September. It should be definitely good for the fall if you're going around in the snow. So by the time you get to TBS and it's full on winter, these will be a good sock, but you'll probably still start to feel it a little bit in your toes. So some people like Fox River all around. They wear it in the summer, fall, winter, spring, doesn't matter. They love Fox River and they're going to go with it. So just do, again, what works best for you. And all of the socks that I've talked about so far are all around the $15 to $18 range. Save that one for last. And then this one is called Darn Tough. Darn Tough. Nice solid brown sock. No arch support. It's got no ventilation up top. But this is like, I think it's like 90% wool or something crazy. Like very, very high wool content. And the inside is super fuzzy and thick. Very good winter sock. I like these. You also have to be really careful with these because if you're trying on your boots with a thinner sock, or like this, for me, like my favorite, the Smart Wool socks, and then I go and I put on a pair of Darn Toughs, or any of the next couple brands that I'm going to talk about, because of how thick they are, my feet are going to feel a little bit pressure on them. Not necessarily that it's the wrong size, but it's definitely going to be tight. So this is a solid winter sock, Darn Tough. Darn Tough, they might make a more ventilated version, but this is just what was at the MCX when I purchased it. Another brands that you can get at REI, a couple of other sporting stores, is a brand called Omni Wool. They also sell it at the PX. That's their little symbol. It looks like the crosshairs. It's got arch support, no ventilation up top. It is solid wool, like it might be 100% wool. And then it's got the same super fuzzy inside. Perfect for the winter, for the snow, if you guys are going in January. These socks that I'm talking about now are all very good. I think these were $18 at the PX. You can buy them online too. They also have a really, really nice heel cushion. I don't wear these that often, but I've had them for a couple of years, and they've held up pretty well. Last pair of socks that I will talk about is Thorlows. Classic. Everybody loves Thorlows. I don't. So I just have these pretty much to show you guys. I've worn them a couple of times, and my feet hated it. But it is what it is. So they're a lot more flexible than like the other socks that you guys saw me showing. Like those are pretty straight. But they're solid wool socks. Here's what the inside looks like. They don't have a whole lot of ventilation up top, but it's more ventilation than Omni Wool and Darn Tough. So your feet shouldn't sweat as much with them. And then they've got a really good heel bed and toe bed for support, and then a little bit less in the arch, so that way it's not so much pressure on your arch. So those are Thorlos. Again, these are going to go up pretty high too, so they'll definitely keep you warm if you're wearing them in the winter time frame. So those are all the different socks. Again, my personal favorite is Smart Wool PhD socks. They're a great overall sock. They're going to last you through the spring, fall, summer, maybe not in the winter. Another good summer sock or spring sock is by Danner. And also the right sock, that's the double-lined sock. A good overall sock that everybody else really likes, Fox River. That's good for any time of season. And then your winter socks. Some people can handle Thorlos all year long. I personally cannot. So Thorlos are good. I'll wear them in the winter. And then the Darn Tough and then the Omni socks. So that is seven brands of socks or whatever it is to consider. All of them are around the $15 to $20 range. They're worth it. I have obviously invested a lot of money into socks. So maybe pick a couple, pick 2 or 3 that I mentioned today, purchase them on Amazon, buy them, feel them, and then return the ones that you don't want to take with you to OCS. OCS recommends you bring 5 pairs of socks, white ankle socks, and then boot socks as well. This is not a requirement though, because someone else, they already asked, like, what am I going to be able to buy at OCS? You are going to buy boot socks at OCS. They might be Thorlos or another type of brand of brown woolish socks, but I can't vouch for what specific type it's going to be. So if you know you get blisters a lot and want to just prevent it ahead of time, go ahead and make the investment on these socks and then do what works for you. You'll still have to buy more socks at OCS, but it doesn't hurt to have a ton of socks, because if you're just hiking a lot, then wear your good socks. And if you're just drilling around Brown Field or going to class, and it's like Garrison Day, hey, then you can wear those socks that you bought at OCS. Any questions on socks?
Can you wear any size socks under your boots, or do they have to be mid-calf?
They can be any size sock, so long as they come above your boot right here. So it needs to be above it, because when you blouse your boots, it's going to naturally rise up a little bit, and they don't want to see skin. So something should be covering it, so it needs to come to about here, safely. You can have it come up higher. That's not going to be an issue, so just do what works best for you.
And again, for the people wondering, if you showed up midway through or towards the end, this will be available for the 24 hours, and then will be added to the YouTube site, so there will be avenues to watch it later. One question from earlier that was related to socks was, what about wearing socks with pantyhose? Recommendations along that line?
So that's another trick that people recommend, is to wear pantyhose, again thin, nylon, neutral color or matching your skin color. And then just wearing regular old boot socks over it. So that's an option. I've gotten that suggestion from other candidates. I personally have never tried it. The thing about pantyhose and any kind of nylon liner is that they're really fragile. Officer Candidate School is not a fragile place. Like, you don't, so, I mean, like, you can buy them, but they're probably going to rip and tear, and then you just got to keep buying them. But also, they're made out of nylon, and nylon isn't going to be wicking the sweat away from your skin like wool does. So if you're doing it in conjunction with a wool sock, then it's probably going to be beneficial. So definitely practice it before you go to Officer Candidate School, and do it for the first time on a graded event. And I would recommend that for anything. You know, don't just take my word that smart wool socks are awesome and then you go on a 6-mile hike and never tried it out before. So definitely test out your socks before you start hiking.
The Fox River and the Smart Wool are not the right colors. They have to be the brown ones.
Yeah, they should be brown.
These are just the examples.
Yeah, these are just, I just grabbed them from my drawer really quick. So yeah, make sure you get brown socks. That's it. Cool.
Other things about boots.
Yeah, so more things about boots. Everyone's got a question on boots, right? So I got three of like 5 pairs of boots that I've got. I do have the Dana Reckonings, and I love them. Yes, Dana Reckonings are my favorite #1 brand. If you can buy them, if you can find them, get the Dana Reckonings. But they're over there, and I'm not going to go over there. They're like right, I can look at them, but that's fine. So these are Bellevilles, these are Bates, and these are the Rats. These went to Afghanistan with me, so they look like garbage, so don't pay attention to that right now. But the reason why I wanted to show you guys my boots is just to show you what they look like after a couple of years or events of training, so that way you can kind of see what the tread is going to look like. You're making an investment when it comes to buying your boots, so I would rather you guys know what they're going to look like in a couple of years and how they feel, so that way you can make an informed choice. So if you're going in the winter or in September, a lot of people talk about getting boots that are Gore-Tex lined. You can search on any of the boot websites, you know, looking for Gore-Tex lined boots. That's just because it's going to be warmer and it's got some water resistance properties to it. A lot of people like these Danner Rat boots because they're pretty sturdy. You can see here like this rim around the edge. That's going to really help you with ankle stability. Also, this leather piece here, more ankle stability. This up here, more stability. Again, so if you've got issues with rolling your ankles, or you know that's an issue, these Danner Rats, everybody really seems to like them for that reason. But they come with a pretty heavy penalty. Literally, they're heavy. These are the heaviest boots that you can purchase. They also have a plastic heel cup that has been known to break and cut your heels. So that's why the Marine Corps stopped the whole process of everybody having to wear the Rat boots, is because they couldn't fix the heel problem. And so like you can't really see it, but like I'm pushing in right here, and that's where my heel cup cracked in the middle of deployment, and I had to have someone ship me boots because my heel cup was cracked right here. So these can be an issue, but some people don't have any problems with them. But this is how they're going to look after a couple of years of just wearing them. They scuff easily, the leather scuffs. And then the tread, though, keeps pretty well. So almost no tread has disappeared from it, just a little bit up top. And then a little bit down here at the bottom. But these were solid, you know, solid boots overall. Can't really complain too much about them. I don't wear them on a day-to-day basis. The next boot that everybody talks about is the Bates, and this is probably what most of you guys are going to be able to find. The Dana Reckonings are very hard to come by right now just because of production. They're in such a high demand that as soon as they go on the shelves, they're off the shelves. So Bates lights, though, their production is pretty solid. They are the lightest boot. They have the least amount of support. They're very flexible. They're almost like wearing tennis shoes. Sorry, they're dirty, but that's what the tread is going to look like after a couple years, or sorry, like maybe 1 year of use. My ones from OCS just got shredded completely by the time I went to TBS and finished it. I do hike in these. I hike in the Dana Reckonings. I don't have a problem with it. Some people say don't hike in Bates lights. You do you. Just know that it's going to take you roughly 150 miles to break in a pair of Bates lights. That's 150 miles of walking, running, getting them wet. Like, you got to do everything to break in a pair of Bates lights. And then I mentioned it before, the bait bite. So there's a piece of, obviously I can't show it to you, but there's a piece of leather on the inside right here that will dig into the top of your foot, and it's quite painful, and it sucks. So unless you have a good pair of socks or you put the moleskin and HibaFix up there, you're going to deal with that bite for a little bit. The other good thing though is that at Officer Candidate School, the athletic trainers will ask you, does anybody have issues with their boots? And you'll turn in your boots and you tell them what's wrong, and you say, like, I've got the bait bite, and they'll know exactly what you mean, and they're going to take a file, a special file that they have, and they're going to stick it inside, and they're going to rub down that piece of leather that's inside of there, and that should hopefully prevent you from having to deal with that issue. So again, the athletic trainers at OCS, they're your friends, and they'll help you out. And then these are our classic pair of Bellevilles. I love these boots. I also hike in Bellevilles. They're a little less flexible than the Bates Lights. They're definitely more heavier than the Bates Lights, but that tread is awesome. That's not going anywhere. You'll be very safe and secure going up and down the O course, climbing up the ropes, and not have any issues slipping and falling. Whereas on the Bates Lights, you might have that issue. Some of them have Gore-Tex on the inside. There's nothing I can say that's wrong with these. These probably take roughly 75 to 100 miles to break in, so definitely a lot less than Bates Lights. They're worth the investment if you can choose what type you get at OCS. And you say you bought your Bates Lights already, but when you go to Officer Candidate School and they're fitting you for boots, try and swing a pair of Bellevilles if you can make it happen when you're in the supply issue. The other thing that I'll recommend you go ahead and do before shipping to boot camp is getting some kind of leather waterproof spray. This is just an example, but these are really great because you're just going to spray your boots on it. It's going to get really wet, look really bad at first, but you let that dry overnight and you won't even know the difference, and then you've waterproofed your boots a little bit. You'll have to bring this with you to Officer Candidate School and do it a couple of times throughout your training, but it'll really help you out. If it's just walking through the dew, grassy dew in the morning, your socks can still get wet. In the middle, if you're standing fire watch in the middle of the morning, very early morning, before Reveille, and you're out in the field, your boots are going to get wet. They're naturally just going to get dewy. So that should definitely help you out, preventing some blister pain, just thinking about waterproofing your boots before the field exercise. I covered everything. That's all I can think of. So what questions do you guys have for me?
One question while you're talking about the Bates was, do you recommend running in them? Or of the boots, what would you recommend for running in terms of whatever?
So, that really kind of depends on you and where you're at in training and where you're at with going to Officer Candidate School. When are you going to OCS? The first thing that you should really focus on is hiking in your boots and getting comfortable with wearing them and making sure that they're the proper fit. And then also making sure that you're already passing your physical fitness test. So if you're not passing your PFT and running it with a competitive score, you shouldn't be worried about running in boots. They're going to build you up very slowly and gradually and properly at Officer Candidate School. But if you are already passing your PFT, you've got a competitive score, maybe you're already selected for Officer Candidate School, and you've been hiking under load according to the OCS physical prep guide that they've got on their website, then yes, you can run in your boots. So I would recommend running in heavier boots just so you can get used to it. It's good to run in Bates, especially if you're not used to it, because again, these feel like tennis shoes. You're practically wearing nothing. But if you're at home, you got a couple months to go, or maybe a month or so to go, running in heavier boots will definitely help you out when you go to Officer Candidate School, because at OCS, yes, the first 4 weeks you're running pretty much in your Go Fasters, your running shoes, but then around week 4, you're going to start to transition into running into your boots. And you might start with just like a 2-mile jog up and down the trails in Quantico, and then it's going to build up slowly from there, and you're eventually going to be running the endurance course, which is about 3.2, 3.4-ish miles. with your rifle, your canteens, boots after doing the O course, and you're going to go up and down obstacles. So the thing about running in heavier boots versus lighter boots is that you never know what boots you're actually going to be wearing the day of exam day. And I say that because you might be training up and you're like, all right, I'm all set, my my Bates lights are awesome, they're good to go, and then you go out the next day, say it's Thursday, and doing normal PT, and it starts raining because it's Quantico and it rains whenever it feels like. Now these boots are soaked, and they're like, okay, go take all your boots and put them outside to dry. And then Friday morning you wake up, you're not allowed to put on those boots yet because they're not dry yet. They're like, okay, go lace up, you're going to run the E-course for score. Guess what boots you're wearing now? You're wearing those heavier Bellevilles or whatever else you have. So you should be able to run in heavier boots, and it shouldn't make a difference. But that is kind of a longer answer to what you asked, but hopefully that answers your question.
Out of the 3 boots, or of these boots, which pair would you say are best for which activities, or does that even really matter much?
It's very personal preference. So if you're just going for a run, a quick run, maybe there's not a lot of obstacles or minimal obstacles, your Bates lights or Dana Reckonings are going to be great boots because they're light. Again, they feel like tennis shoes, and it's not going to be any issue with you. The Dana Reckonings are great boots for the O course and for the endurance course because they are a lot sturdier. They've essentially got the sole of the Bellevilles, but they're light like the Bates lights. They're slightly heavier, but not by much. Some people say don't hike in the Bates lights and don't hike in the Dana Reckonings because, again, they're lighter. Your feet are going to hurt a little bit more. A good neutral boot that you can do literally everything in is the Bellevilles. Yes, they are heavier though. What you can do to prevent that from sucking so much is doing toe taps and heel raises. So where you're going to feel this is in the front part of your calves. So just sitting down and doing calf toe touches like this. You probably can't see it because my muscles aren't super big, but this part of my calf is flexing like crazy right now, and so I'm using it. And that's all you really have to do to strengthen this and focus on strengthening the top part of your shins. And then also calf raises in general because all of it is lifting this up. So another cool thing you can do, who's seen those little tiny baby kettlebells? They're like, who uses that? It's like 2 pounds or whatever. So the purpose of those kettlebells isn't for you to swing and do like a kettlebell swing. You sit down and you put the loop over your toe and you lift it up and down like that. That's one of the main reasons for those type of kettlebells. So that'll help you strengthen that. And then these boots, or any of the other like heavier boots, they're going to be good for, again, hiking, if you can handle it, if you've got strong calves, or maybe weight doesn't bother you. You know, you could definitely hike in these and wear these on day-to-day events. I wouldn't recommend these for the O course or for the E course, though. There's no point to put yourself through that when you've got other boots that are lighter and can handle it. But some people absolutely swear by hiking in these. The other thing about these is they take like maybe 50 or so miles to break in, just because of how the heel cup is designed, so it doesn't take that long to break in. So
that's the next question, is recommendations for breaking in and what you consider that entails.
So whenever I get a new pair of boots, I don't care how much like a nerd I look like, I'm going to wear them around the house, I'm going to wear them out to stores, I'm just going to walk around in them and try and build up my daily mileage in them. At Officer Candidate School, you're going to be walking/running, anywhere from 7 to 10 miles a day. That's a lot more. That's not your 10,000 steps. That's significantly more than 10,000 steps a day. So if you consider that, if I'm wearing this every day and I'm getting my 10,000 steps or whatever.
Your time's about to come up.
Oh, okay, so we're going to end it. I'll continue on about breaking in boots next. So if you want to just go ahead and end it, and then we'll restart it. Alright, just for you guys, I went and got my dinner reckonings. So we'll let more people log in. While you guys are logging in, we went over earlier blister stuff, what to buy for the field. I talked about like a whole bunch of socks. So all of this video is going to be available for the next 24 hours on Instagram. And we'll post it later on the YouTube channel with audio this time, hopefully. Maybe. So I'm just going to let some more people log in. Some of the other questions that were asked earlier is talking about like how to break in boots, what's the best way, should I be running in them? So we covered most of that, but we're about to go into breaking in your boots. So what I had mentioned earlier was generally just walking. Roughly trying to get your 10,000 steps a day, 7 days a week should help you build up your breaking in time. I would say try and get to, in general, roughly 50 or so miles on all these boots before you start running in them. So I'll do it like this. Let's see. That one. So in order of longest time to break in to shortest time to break in. So your Bates lights, these are going to take roughly 150 to 175 miles to break in. I'm talking day on, stay on, walking around, running in them, doing whatever you can in them. They're just going to take forever to break in, so just know that about these. You'll think you're good, and then you'll go for a long hike, and you are not good. The next longest is going to be your Bellevilles. This is going to take probably 100, probably a solid 100 miles to break in your Bellevilles. Your Danners reckonings, these are the Danner reckonings, the hot commodity, what everybody is talking about. Yes, it does have the Eagle Globe and Anchor on it. It is just really faded. But these will take you roughly 75 miles to break in, maybe 50. I just have super sensitive feet, so it took me about 75 miles to break these in. And then your Danner Rats, they're going to probably take around 50 to 75 miles to break in. Again, they've got a super sweet heel cup, but it's known to crack. So there's that. So when you're breaking in your boots, again, wear them. Don't care how dumb you look. Put them on with your jeans. Just go to Walmart and feel in place. So the next thing that you can do though, hey, maybe that's not going to work out for you. Maybe you're going to OCS in September and you just bought a pair of these. Like, good luck. But what you can do is you can get them wet and then walk around with them while they're wet on your feet. So the wet is going to help, or the water is going to help soften the leather. And then when you're walking in it, as it dries, the body heat from your feet, the friction, all of it is going to help mold it to your foot a lot quicker. Be smart, save yourself, preemptively put the Hypofix on your heels like I had already shown you before. So that way you don't get a blister right before you report to officer candidate school. That's probably one of the worst things you can do. Try to break in a new pair of boots before shipping to OCS, and then you get a nasty blister on your foot and you can't run the induction PFT fast. You need to do that so you can induct into training. So put some Hypofix on the back of your heels, save yourself. I have heard some people recommend get your boots wet and then take a blow dryer to them. So again, it's heating up that leather, but just know that's going to jeopardize the integrity of your boots. So boots aren't supposed to handle such high heat, especially when they're wet. So it's going to mess it up. It might make it look more worn than it really is. Like, this is unsat. Like, you should not wear a pair of boots. That's why I don't even have laces in these, because I'm never going to wear these again. I just use it to show you guys what Bates lights look like. So you don't want to show up to OCS with a ratty pair of boots like this, and you just ruined, a $200 pair of boots because you put a blow dryer to it. So, but that would be something that you should do. And we did mention, going for runs in your boots is good if you're already passing the PFT with a super competitive score. Maybe you're already selected. If you are, great. Follow the OCS prep guide. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's on their website. So OCS like official training website, and then physical fitness, and then you can download the preparation guide. It's got a whole 12-week program on what you should be doing to get ready.
We're going to be live for a little while longer, so if you have questions, ask them. There were a few questions that were asked towards the end of the other video, so if you're still around and you want to know, ask. That way we can get to it. When you're breaking in your boots, it's a good time to be trying out different socks. That's how you would know what works for you, what doesn't.
Don't forget to buy, if you're going in September, your red lens headlamp. And then, so one good thing, this one's a Coleman. If you guys noticed when I turned it on, it went immediately to red. And then if I was going to turn it off, I'd have to use my palm to keep it covered, because white lights aren't allowed at OCS. So if you can find a headlamp that goes directly to red and then turns off, or maybe it's got a lens little sliding cover, pretty sweet trick. So that's just something to pay attention to when you're buying your headlamp for OCS.
KT tape use again was don't bring it.
Yeah, don't bring your KT tape. So the athletic trainer at OCS will tape you up. You're not supposed to have KT tape. You shouldn't go to OCS with a brace unless it's prescribed and your OSO said it was okay. The athletic trainer at OCS, you'll wake up early. You go to him at like 5 o'clock in the morning before sick call even goes. He tapes you all up, and the sergeant instructors and staff know that you went to see the athletic trainer. They know that your knee's going to be all taped up or whatever it might be, and you're all set. We had a girl, when I went to OCS, she rolled her ankle like week 1. It might have been like the day after the PFT or something absurd. And every single day she went to the athletic trainer, got her ankle taped, and graduated from OCS. Wasn't an issue. She dealt with it. And the athletic trainer is definitely your friend when you go to OCS.
Again, in the earlier video we talked about favorites of both the socks and the boots, but just real quickly recap.
Yeah, we can recap.
Favorites. Just
Socks.
favorites.
Yeah, favorites. My favorite is Smart Wool. So don't pay attention to the color. I just grabbed this out of my drawer, but I wear these all the time when I go hiking for for fun. So the reason why I like Smart Wool is because it's a solid blend of wool. It's the softest kind of wool that you can get out of all these socks. It's got a little bit of synthetic. It's got a mesh top up top, and then it's got great heel padding and toe bed padding. And it's also padded here by the toes. It goes up the height that I need it to match with my boots. And then it also has arch support. So my favorite, Smart Wool PhD hiking socks, medium weight. And then I also really like the concept behind the right socks. These are those double line socks. They've got that liner on the inside and then another liner on the outside. They've got arch support, ventilation on the top, minimal padding though. So they're a really light sock and definitely good for the summer or for the spring. And then I'd have to say Fox River, because they're just overall a good sock. They can go through every single season. They've got good heel and toe support or padding. They've got the ventilation up top. They do go pretty high though compared to the other socks. And they do a little bit of compression too. That's pretty nice for your calves. So Fox River, good brands. So I'd say those are my favorite. But another fan favorite is Thorlos.
How many pairs of boots, shoes, socks? It's kind of been a recurring question of how many should you be bringing with you versus what you're going to get while you're there.
So I recommend bringing 2 pairs of shoes, running shoes. One should be your PFT shoe. The other shoe should be pretty much the same exact one, just the trail version of it. So if you're running in like Asics, Brooks, New Balance, they've got your shoe probably, like a road shoe, and then a trail shoe. And make sure those have less than, I think it's like they recommend less than 100 miles or less than 3 months. Should be 3 months or newer. Then I would recommend going to OCS with 1 pair of boots broken in. You're going to buy 2 more pairs of boots. You do not need to go to OCS with 2 pairs of boots. That's excessive. Completely excessive. So 1 pair of boots broken in, you'll buy the other 2, and then have, at least 5 pairs of socks. 5 pairs of socks. Because you're going to buy more socks while you're there, but I like my socks. So that's why I bought 5 and I went with 5. They're $15 a pop though, so you do you. You know what you can afford.
Any recommendations in terms of insoles or inserts to your boots?
So that's a great question. I have custom orthotics made, and I have those inserted into my boots. But a lot of these have their own specific. Let's see if do I have any super feet in here? Nope, I don't have my super feet in here. Anyways, let's look at this one. This one's total garbage, right? Like, look at that. That is like no support to it whatsoever. So what you will buy at OCS is a brand of inserts called Super Feet. And when you're going through medical in-processing, they're going to have you stand on like a whole bunch of Super Feet. And then the podiatrist, an athletic trainer, they'll look at how you're standing in them. They'll look at how you stand off of them. And then they'll recommend a specific type of Super Feet for you. And then you'll put those in your, I think you buy 2. One goes in your boots and the other one goes in your running shoe or something like that. Just know that if you do get inserts, go to a specialty store or go see a podiatrist to get that done for you. Don't just like go to Walmart and get the Dr. Scholl's, whatever, like gelin, whatever. So just get it based off of what you actually need. And if you do get inserts, you're not putting them on top of the inserts already in the shoe. You have to take those inserts out and put the new ones in. Pre-made stencils considered contraband? It's not foot related, but so technically no, but they have been known to change the stencil type. So if you've already got your stencil made and it's the wrong one, and you've stenciled like a whole bunch of tape, one, you don't know your platoon number. You don't know if they're going to change the format of the type of marking, and then you don't know if they change the font of the stencil. So I kind of feel like that's a wasted time.
Sock liners authorized?
Yes. Just make sure they're covered by your boots. And they don't see like white or black or any other colors.
And then kind of bringing it back to the inserts, can you bring your own inserts even though you're going to be there to get, yeah. So if you have your own.
Yeah, if you have your own, they're already good to go, they work for you, definitely bring them. So I guess we'll just, anybody last minute questions? If not, we'll call it.
And again, if you missed the first video and you're just showing up now, these will be up for the 24 hours. And then once that's done, they'll be downloaded and put up to YouTube for other viewing later on.
We're really going to try and make sure we save the sound on this last one. We tried. Okay, well, that's going to be it. So, again, I'm Captain Krygier. I am the selection officer with OST Miami. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is at SFL_Marine Officer. I'll tag myself in the video so that way if you don't know who I am, you can follow me. I'll give more advice like this, and feel free to send me any kind of messages. I'll be answering the OCS blog messages for the next hour or so. If you've got anything, feel free to send it. And then if you miss me on the blog, then you can hit me up on SFL_Marine Officer. So thank you guys for requesting the video. Hope it was helpful. And I'm always here to help.